There are rare moments in history when the economic landscape completely resets. And when that happens, a wave of ordinary people, not hedge funds, not Wall Street insiders, quietly build life-changing wealth. Most of us alive today weren't paying attention when it last occurred. But that same kind of moment is unfolding right now, in 2026, and just like before, the majority of people are going to miss it entirely in this video. I want to walk you through what this shift actually is, what history tells us about moments like this, and most importantly, what you can do about it today. No hype, no false promises, just real information so you can make your own informed decision. Here's a pattern that repeats itself throughout economic history. By the time most people realize a major shift was important, it's already over. They look back and say, I should have done something, but while it was actually happening, they either weren't aware, didn't believe it, or simply didn't act. Cast your mind back to the early 1990s. The internet was just getting off the ground, and in 1993, the average person had never heard of a website, yet by the end of that decade, Amazon had become a multi-billion-dollar company, and early investors in firms like Dell, Cisco, and Intel had seen returns that were almost unimaginable, some exceeding 10,000%. Federal Reserve data shows that household net worth in the United States grew by roughly $20 trillion between 1990 and 2000. With a significant portion of that tied to early participation in the technology boom. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people didn't get in early. They got in late, some right before the dot-com crash in 2000, and they lost enormous amounts of money. Then the cycle repeated when Facebook launched in 2004. Many people dismissed it as a novelty for college students by 2012. It went public with a valuation exceeding $100 billion. And the people who recognized its potential, early investors, early employees and founders, walked away with life-changing wealth. Meanwhile, most ordinary people watched from the sidelines. We are currently in the early stages of what many economists are calling the fifth industrial revolution. The previous four were built on steam power, electricity, computing, and the internet. And each one minted a new class of wealthy individuals, people who were completely ordinary before the shift and became millionaires. Even billionaires, simply because they understood what was changing and positioned themselves ahead of it. The fifth industrial revolution centers on the merging of artificial intelligence with human work and daily life. But it's broader than just AI alone. It encompasses automation, advanced semiconductor chips, data infrastructure, robotics, cloud computing, and the cybersecurity systems that protect all of it. Research from the McKinsey Global Institute estimates that AI and automation could generate between $6 and $8 trillion in additional economic value globally every single year, more than the entire annual GDP of Japan, and that wealth doesn't stay contained to tech companies. It creates ripple effects across healthcare, finance, manufacturing, real estate, retail, and virtually every other sector. What makes this shift particularly critical to understand is the speed at which it's moving. Netflix took about 3.5 years to reach its first million users. Facebook hit that milestone in 10 months. Instagram did it in under 3 months. ChatGPT reached 1 million users in just 5 days. That accelerating pace of adoption has a direct consequence. The window of opportunity for early movers is narrower than it has ever been. In the 1990s, people had nearly a decade to position themselves before the mainstream caught on. But with AI, that window may be 2 or 3 years, possibly less. According to a 2024 World Economic Forum report, around 75% of companies globally plan to adopt some form of AI technology by 2027. As of early 2026, roughly 56% of American businesses have begun integrating AI in some capacity, which means 44% still haven't. That gap is where an enormous amount of opportunity currently lives. And most analysts agree that by 2030, AI integration across industries will be widespread and normalized, meaning the early mover advantage available today will largely disappear by then. The wealth being generated by this shift flows through 3 distinct layers, and understanding each one is key. The first is infrastructure. Throughout history, the people who built the roads everyone else traveled on tended to profit the most. During the California gold rush, it was the merchants selling shovels who reliably made money, not the prospectors gambling on a lucky strike during the internet boom. The companies that laid the cables, built the routers, and operated the servers grew wealthy regardless of which individual website survived or collapsed. Today, the backbone of the AI era is built on 4 pillars: semiconductors, data centers, cloud computing, and cybersecurity. The global semiconductor market was valued at around $527 billion in 2023 and is projected to surpass $1 trillion by 2030. Data center capacity in the US alone needs to more than double by 2030 to meet projected demand. The global cloud market was estimated at around $676 billion in 2024 and continues to grow rapidly. And as businesses move sensitive data into AI-driven systems, cybersecurity spending is growing in lockstep, with global cybercrime costs projected to reach $10.5 trillion annually. What makes infrastructure particularly attractive is that you don't have to predict which AI company ultimately wins the race. Because if one platform beats another, the chips, data centers, and cloud infrastructure supporting both of them still benefit. The second layer is business opportunity. Every major technological shift destroys some businesses, creates new ones, and forces others to adapt or collapse. The internet killed Blockbuster and gave rise to Netflix. It eliminated Tower Records and created the conditions for Spotify. The same dynamic is playing out today with AI. Running a mid-sized customer service team a few years ago might have cost a company $500,000 per year in salaries and overhead. But today, AI systems are handling 80 to 90% of customer inquiries at a fraction of that cost. Companies that figure this out first gain a substantial competitive advantage, while those that ignore it risk being left behind. For existing business owners, adopting AI to cut costs and improve efficiency could determine whether your business grows or shrinks over the next 5 years. For everyone else, there is currently a significant demand for people who can help businesses understand and implement AI tools. And companies are paying consultants and freelancers real money, sometimes thousands of dollars per month, simply to help them use tools that are already freely or cheaply available. The third layer is career and income opportunity. And this one is for people who simply have a job and want to know how this affects them. In the short term, AI is unlikely to replace most workers, but it will replace workers who don't understand how to use it. The colleague sitting next to you who learns these tools effectively is going to accomplish more in less time, deliver higher quality work, and become considerably more valuable to your employer. And that difference will show up in pay raises, promotions, and job security over the coming years. A study by MIT and Harvard economists found that workers using AI assistants completed tasks 40% faster with measurably higher quality outcomes, the equivalent of gaining 2 extra productive days per week simply by learning a tool. The people who made the most money during the internet boom weren't all founders of massive companies. Many of them were ordinary individuals who simply understood early what was changing and made a deliberate choice to position themselves before the mainstream caught on. Consider Ann Scheiber, an IRS auditor who was neither wealthy nor well-connected. She invested her savings, around $5,000, in companies she believed in, held through every market crash and panic. And when she passed away in 1995, she left $22 million to charity. She wasn't a financial genius. She just grasped something fundamental about getting ahead of economic momentum and staying the course. I'm not telling you that story to suggest anyone can guarantee the same outcome. Because investing carries real risk, markets crash, companies fail, and anyone offering you a guaranteed path to wealth is not being honest with you. What I am saying is that every generation has a small number of moments when the economic landscape fundamentally shifts. And those who understand the shift and position themselves early tend to benefit significantly, while those who wait until it becomes obvious tend to miss the opportunity. Or worse, arrive just in time for the correction. By most measurable indicators, speed of adoption, government investment, corporate spending, and labor market changes, the AI revolution today is roughly where the internet was in 1994 or 1995. Still early, still before the mainstream wave. The current U.S. administration is publicly committed to establishing American leadership in AI, meaning federal funding is moving into this space alongside private investment. And historically, when government spending combines with private capital in an emerging sector, it accelerates economic activity substantially. The shift is real, it's measurable, and it's supported by data. Based on current adoption trajectories, the early mover window is probably 2 to 5 years wide, and after that, the advantage of acting before everyone else will be largely gone. Just as it was after the dot-com era and again after social media matured around 2017, if you're an investor, look beyond the headline names and consider infrastructure plays in semiconductors, data centers, cloud computing, and cybersecurity. Always diversifying and never putting money at risk that you cannot afford to lose. If you're entrepreneurial or have a marketable skill, there's a real and present demand for people who can help businesses navigate and implement AI tools. And you don't need a computer science degree to do it. And if you simply have a job and want to protect your position and grow your income, start learning these tools now, not because anyone told you to, but because the person in your workplace who masters them first will be the most valuable person in the room. And that person can be you the last time a shift of this magnitude began. Ordinary people built extraordinary wealth, not because they were smarter than everyone else, but because they recognized what was happening and chose to act before the crowd arrived. Now you know what's happening. The question is what you'll do with that knowledge. This content is for educational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and any results depend entirely on your own decisions and actions.